Welcome back once again. This lesson covers how to use esxtop. In this lesson, we'll describe how to use esxtop in interactive mode. So what is esxtop? This is a tool that's been in VMware's ESX servers for many, many years. It's a performance modeling tool based off of the Unix and Linux top tool, except for it monitors virtual machines, not Unix processes. So it's a very powerful tool, though, that lets us monitor all the four main resources: CPU, memory, storage, networking. It also can monitor vSAN and other attributes. So it has a lot of characteristics, a lot of capabilities, and also a lot of detail. So a lot of columns to look through. Our goal here is to basically highlight the important columns of the report based on each of the different resources we'll be taking a look at in these resource optimization modules. So in any case, you launch this tool from the ESX server's command line, either by using the local shell to the ESXi host or by using SSH to the SSH shell. You can also launch a remote version of this utility called esxtop. You have to get that by downloading the ESX CLI package from the VMware download page. But usually it's pretty simple just to log into an ESXi host and launch this tool. It's a great way to find out what's going on very quickly in real time. Now, you can get a lot of the same information in the vSphere client using the charts that you get, and that also gives you real-time details. However, there are some differences. The real-time details you get from esxtop are going to be, by default, updated every 5 seconds, so you really are getting the details as they happen. The charts, on the other hand, they have an update every 20 seconds, and that's not adjustable. In fact, the charts update every 20 seconds because that's the frequency in which the ESX servers inform vCenter of these different performance statistics. And that actually can sometimes cause confusion when customers are trying to compare with what they see in the vSphere client with what they see in esxtop, because already you can tell that they are updating on different intervals, right? The vSphere client updates every 20 seconds, and that's not adjustable. esxtop, on the other hand, it updates every 5 seconds. That is adjustable, though, but if it updates every 5 seconds, it's actually looking at quite different intervals, and so the numbers aren't going to match at all. So that's things you can do with esxtop. You can update its refresh rate so that it updates every 20 seconds. That makes it look a little bit more closely related to the numbers that you're looking at in the vSphere client. Not to say that's what you should do, but if you're interested in making them look more closely related, that's one option. So in any case, we mentioned that it can be run locally, it can be run remotely. It is like top. And when you launch it, it actually opens up in one of the variety of different screens that are available for it, right? You can look at CPU screen, which is what we're seeing here in this picture. You can look at a memory screen, you can look at a networking screen, and you can look at 3 different storage screens. So how do you change this? Well, inside esxtop, it's basically keystroke driven, right? You click on a particular keystroke to change certain things and how esxtop appears. For instance, to change the screens from CPU to memory to network, you hit the appropriate letter. It's pretty easy. C for CPU, M for memory, N for networking. There's the 3 storage screens. There's D for disk adapter, U for disk device, or LUN, and V for virtual disk view. They're all case sensitive, by the way. You'll notice that there's also a capital V there. That actually will do what's called virtual machine view. This is if you have a CPU or memory screen, which actually shows not just VMs, but also all the system mechanisms too. And so if you want to strip away all the system metrics and all you want to see are VMs, you hit the capital V. That will take away all the non-VM stuff. It makes the output a little bit easier to read sometimes. There's also some cases where there is no case sensitivity. For instance, the letter F. Notice in the example, you can tap either a little f or a capital F. That will allow you to customize the columns. The fields is what the letter stands for. If there's anything you ever want to remember amongst all the different things in esxtop, and trying to remember what are the different keys to hit for the different views, just remember the letter H. Help will take you to the appropriate help screen for whatever screen you're in, because each screen will have a slightly different help screen depending on what metrics that might be available there. And of course, the letter Q to get you out of the tool altogether. So basically, if you were in one of those screens and you were to hit the H key, for instance, you're in the help screens, right? So what does the help screen look like for the CPUs? Because that's actually what we're looking at here. You'll find that you can adjust things like which columns or which fields would you like to have enabled or disabled, right? All those different columns you can configure which ones are enabled, which ones are not. That's with the F key. You can choose the order in which the columns appear with the letter O. And notice those are the two that are not case sensitive. The letter S will let you adjust the delay in seconds between updates. That's the interval that it refreshes in. The capital W will let you write the configuration file. Essentially, if you were to customize which columns you want to see and the refresh rate and all the other custom settings you might apply, if you wanted to save this so the next time you launch esxtop, you see your new custom settings, you can save that into a configuration. And the configuration file will by default be called the one that we see here. It's a hidden file sitting in the home folder of the user you've logged in with, root probably, and it will be a file called esxtop60rc. That is what the name of the file is going to be called. It's basically the esxtop 6.0 release candidate, but it hasn't changed since then either. So you can save it there, and in fact, if you save it to the default config file location, every time you launch esxtop, it'll read that file automatically and make your custom changes effective immediately. If you'd rather have maybe different custom settings for maybe different purposes, you can actually save to different config files, so that you can then launch them by launching esxtop -C and then your config file name. What else do we have here, right? You can choose how it sorts, right? Depending on what view you're in, you can define which columns you want it to sort on. And so you have those. Those are usually sorted by uppercase letter of some kind. So speaking of customizing the column fields, right? So if you're in one of the screens, this happens to be the networking screen, and you select the help screen, or I should say, if you select the field selector screen. So remember, the letter F always takes you to the field selector screen. And that's what we have here, right? There's the field selectors. Because we're in the networking view, we're looking at networking columns. And these columns are all enabled with the ones that have an asterisk by their names, right? Those are the ones that are enabled. If you want to toggle which ones are on or off, just hit the appropriate letter corresponding to their row. So capital A is the port ID, right? Capital D is used by. Or not even capital, it's basically case insensitive. You just hit the key related to each of the different row, that will toggle whether or not the field is on or off. You'll also notice that the field order seems to be listed in alphabetical order. You can hit the letter O to go into field ordering page, and then you actually hit either uppercase or lowercase versions of the same letters, and that will basically change their order by moving the column header either to the right or to the left, right? Uppercase versus lowercase will choose the direction that it will move the column heading. So if you want to reorder them, you go into the order screen and hit the appropriate letter, either uppercase or lowercase, to move it either to the left or to the right. So that's some of the basics. We're next going to take a look at using esxtop for CPU in our final lesson. We'll take a quick break, and we'll see you in a few minutes.